Vanguard's offense has mustered up 5 hits. 4 of them have been with 2 outs. They have to start striking earlier in these innings.
Yeah, and it just starts with...
You know, we talked about it at the top, Zuby, how Westmont's making their much-anticipated return to Dean Harvey Field. The last time they were here was the infamous game of 2022. As a matter of fact, there are 12 total players who were here that fateful day that are back now. But in case you don't know what we're talking about, in 2022, Vanguard entered the final weekend of the season, needing to win all 4 games over Westmont to win the GSAC title. They won the first 2, and at that point, everyone was like, okay, this is going to be interesting tomorrow, but Westmont was still, you know, one of the top 5 teams in the nation at the time. Vanguard was number 9 as well, and it was a highly touted matchup. Mazzaferro takes inside for a ball. We get to that 3rd game, and Vanguard won that game 9-0. However, Westmont protested that game. It didn't matter because Vanguard still had to win the last game, which was a 7-inning contest. All of a sudden, we play the 7-inning game. There's a walk-off. Vanguard celebrates. They have the whole ceremony. Maz pokes that one to second base, and it's a ground out for Mazzaferro. So then we win. We have the whole ceremony, and all of a sudden we get the alert Monday saying, oh, we got to come back and finish this game on Wednesday. But what do you mean? Well, the protest was upheld, and so we have to go back. So we had to go back to the 4th inning of that game, which was the moment in question, was a ground rule double versus an inside the park home run. Westmont claimed that it should have been ruled ground rule. Vanguard says that the ball was reachable as Davis. So then we come back and we play that game, and man, oh man, was that a ball game. Vanguard ended up losing that one in extras. Game time was almost 7 hours in total.
Eesh.
Davis goes down looking. Back now, Vanguard Sports Network, they're going to go ahead and let Spencer Emerson ride or die with this outing. We were talking about the game back in 2022, and my apology, it was actually 8-0 that Vanguard initially won the game, but then it was overturned. Vanguard ended up losing that game 10-7 in extras. Chase there for a strike. But it was arguably the best crowd in Vanguard baseball history. There was people hanging out of windows. The entire right field wall was lined with rows of students. They canceled class. I mean, it was one of the best atmospheres in Vanguard baseball history. And it was a heck of a ball game, that extra inning contest. And this is a high chopper. Maz is going to try to make the quick scoop, and it's going to eke under his glove for a hit.
It's always so difficult to read those high choppers like that.
Talking about players who were on the roster from the 2022 game: Trey Dunn, Dusty Schrader, Daniel Patterson, Chris Ceballos, who's now with Vanguard, Bryce McFeely, Brian Peck, Chase Goddard, who did not play that year, but he was on the roster. He was out for the season. Zach Yates, he relieved in Game 1 and then pitched also in Game 4 of the series, which he was the 5th pitcher of the game. He entered in the 8th inning and got an inning of work, 2 Ks, and striking out T-Rod and Dane Nakasuka. Isaac Veal pinch running now for Westmont. Yates also pitched versus Vanguard in the GSAC tournament that season, getting the win with 2 2/3 from the 6th to the 9th inning. But Gabe Ardiaga in the Game 4 win, he had the nail in the coffin RBI single. He was a pitcher, and that's how crazy the game was. Everyone ran out of players. Gabe Ardiaga, their pitcher, had the winning RBI single to make it 10-7. And it came on the heels of giving up a walk-off in the 7th of Game 4 of the series to Dane Nakasuka that we thought won the GSAC. Everything was confusing that series. And, of course, it was a pitcher who had the nail in the coffin. But in total, Vanguard used 13 pitchers, 18 position players. Westmont used 5 pitchers and 15 position players. 51 total players were used for one game. 18.5 innings in total as well, as this ball is going to be poked foul.
And it put them actually, instead of taking the GSAC in the regular season, it put them as the 3 seed.
Yes. And the crazy thing is Westmont wasn't in line to even win the Vanguard players who returned from that day. Jesus Barreto, he didn't play, but he was on the roster. Kip Famularo played in that game. He actually pinch ran for Antonio Onfor in the 10th inning, who walked as the pinch hitter in the DH spot for the pinch runner Frankie Morgan, who ran for Isaiah Lee, the original designated hitter. If you could keep track of that. I'm telling you, we used everyone that day.
Everybody played.
Frankie Morgan, when's the last time you heard that name?
Graduation?
2-2 in the here and now. Chopper high. Famularo going to charge in. Makes the toss to Gallegos for the first out, but that does move a runner over. Zach Stoffel, he was also a pitcher. He didn't play in there. Jacob Morales played 2 times in the series. He actually played in that infamous Game 3, and he struggled a little bit, to say the least. Did not record an out, walked a man, and had 2 wild pitches that actually scored 1, but it was actually tabbed to Toby Welty, who was in before him.
Wonder why. I think it was just too many names. They just had to give it to somebody. They didn't know who.
Well, then J-Mo was actually then replaced by Greer. When's the last time you heard that name, too? But then J-Mo actually played in Game 4, and he got the win to improve to 2-1 on the season, which is funny because Game 4 getting the win actually came before the Game 3 loss.
Yes.
He was actually in line for the loss in that one, but offense helped him out getting a walk-off, which actually 3 of the last 4 seasons, Zuby, we have seen a walk-off on Senior Day for Vanguard.
Oh, don't talk about walk-offs when
Holy cow.
Parleski's here.
That ball was hit very well. Shiggy's got his butt on the wall. He makes the snag. The throw to third. Slikart couldn't scoop it. Edmondson, that's why you back up the play, kids. They say he left early, so they're going to throw over to second. And he did leave early. Vanguard's dugout was watching it all the way. Madoli will have to face off against a new man, and I'm sure this is terrifying for Vanguard fans because one of the best closers on the West Coast is on the hill for Westmont. He has 11 saves, making now his 19th appearance. It's Zach Yates, a man who is now the saves leader all time for the Warriors. Packers Pitcher of the Week on April 6th this year, which is impressive for someone in relief who doesn't pitch much, but he actually picked up 3 saves in a 4-game series. So
yeah, usually they don't give it to relievers, but I mean, get 3 saves, might as well give it to him.
Yeah. Weak dribbler, Yates showing the speed. Jeez.
I guess do it yourself, Yates. My word.
I want to know if this dude drinks coffee because the way that he was running right there looked like someone who has had a lot of caffeine in his day.
Well, he's wired on something.
Zach Yates also pitched yesterday against Vanguard, went 1 2/3 there, gave up 1 hit, nothing doing for Vanguard. He also went 2 2/3 against APU, and Zuby, of the 8 outs he recorded, 7 came via strikeout. This guy's got the goods, and he lines out to second, does Slikart. You know, the last 2 series for Vanguard, Zuby, especially in Hawaii, they struggled in games 1 and 2 of the series, and then they just found offense out of nowhere in the back half of the series to at least manage a split. It doesn't look like Westmont has that in the cards for them today because they have been lights out thus far, continuing from where they left off yesterday.
Well, especially bringing a pitcher like Yates already in this game, this already just shows they just want to shut the door. They don't want to give Vanguard any chances.
Gallegos back of the middle. So sorry to the Yates family for jinxing that one.
Once there's 2 outs, that's not a good sign to see.
No, and they only have 1 hit today with less than 2 outs to finish out the regular season for Vanguard. Put a bow on their first year in the NCAA. Abe Hernandez knew it. Shortstop Mora will lead us off in the top of the 9th. So Westmont's going to look to pad their lead just a little bit more before they turn it over to the Vanguard offense. Finish this one off. Was pitch 124 for him.
I'm telling you, he's going to reach 150.
Hall will saunter in for the first out. He peers down towards the bullpen, and a hug there for Coach Pegg. Standing ovation for Spencer Edmondson on a heck of a Vanguard career. Hugs all around. We'll turn it over to another senior. 8 1/3 for Spence in his last outing. Incredible. Westmont fans even giving him a round of applause. A lot of respect in this rivalry. Coach Green, the pitching coach, Greets his man one final time as in tears Edmondson leaves the hill for the last time as a Lion. We'll be back in a moment on the Vanguard Sports Network. Kagan Wentz, the southpaw, steps onto the hill. First pitch swinging into foul territory, and Gallegos is giving plenty of chase. It's out of play. Oh, man, good effort, though. He jumped almost on top of the tarp and put his glove above the fence. That's a very tall fence. That's about 10 feet high, and he jumped on top of the tarp to give chase. Good for Tristan Gallegos.
Living a dangerous life right now.
Yeah. By the way, Edmondson, those 125 pitches, the most in his career as a Lion, surpassing his 117 that he threw against Hope International last season. Zuby, I know he gave up the 11 hits today, but 8 1/3, 3 Ks, 2 walks. Only 4 runs against this dangerous Westmont offense. Oh, man, another pitch skips in. Feet, and they're yelling feet. Abe Hernandez could not see it. Runners on the corners now as Wentz is offline a little bit here. Also pitched out in Hawaii, where he technically gave up the walk-off hit. I mean, it was a run rule situation to the Point Loma home game. Runners on the move. They got him in a pickle, and this might have been intentional. Kip Farlow are going to fire home offline, so it's a successful first and third play for Westmont. Right in that ball game, they were down 10-8. Runners on the move to third. No throw. Well timed there as they're taking advantage of Wentz's slow windup.
It does look like Pablo's coming out.
So cue the electric guitar. Pitching change. Kagan Wentz. Tip your cap to him. Another Vanguard senior being honored here today. Pablo Small for Vanguard is now on the hill. The graduate player from La Habra, California. Previously over at San Diego Christian. Now without athletics. I don't want to say Zoo, but it feels like Point Loma all over again. Where you're in the ball game and then all of a sudden 7 runs in the top of the 9th. Feels like that's where we're headed.
It does kind of feel like that.
Struck out looking in the third, didn't like it. Grounded to Moz, and he will get the force at 2. The throw to first is not in time. Praying that your Vanguard offense could get something going. Even if you don't make a full comeback this game, you just want something to feel good about for game 2 today because, gosh, it would be disheartening to say the least to have a 0 on the board on senior day in both games. Shiggy, Hall, and Kip are all that stands between Zach Yates and a lunch break. Bottom of the night, J.J. Johnson alongside Xander Zubiati. Great to have you all with us for senior day in beautiful Costa Mesa after that rain delay. Put us behind a little bit. Check foul. Watch out, Levi. Gosh, he is a magnet for those things, Zubi.
Well, I mean, it started out in January, so I guess it's just going to stay the whole time.
Well, remember, he had another foul ball, almost hit him while he was in the dugout back in early February. And in his words, not ours, he told us after the game as Shiggy goes, Oppo there, and no taco for him. I'm going to bring up Levi Hall. But in Levi's words, not mine, he said, I rolled with that ball like Floyd Mayweather. And, you know, some of his teammates were talking to us earlier. They said Levi Hall talks like he's a Walmart version of Matthew McConaughey.
What does that even mean?
Zach Yates is through 1 1/3. Fires one on the inner half to Levi. And he's now ahead 0-2. Hall pokes this one to Mora. Hall gave it a good look. But it's still going to go down as G6 on the season. And looks like it will be F9 to finish this one out. Final score of this one, 6-0 Westmont gets the win, and Zach Yates gets another save for his career. Incredible what we've seen from Zach Yates.
Yeah, I mean, it matters most.
Rico now improves to 4-2. We'll be back in about 30 minutes for game 2. This game time took 3 hours flat. Sorry about the rain delay, but hopefully we should have smooth sailing the rest of the way, especially for this 7-inning contest. CP will get the nod on senior day for the Lions. Can Vanguard salvage one We'll find out on the other side, back in about 30 minutes.